was weird. I knew that I had this spark in me to, if I put my mind to it, I could do it. My teacher always said to me, she's like, don't ever cut yourself short.
Right.
And I think that right there was a big learning lesson for me, because I was like, if you shoot for the stars, at least you might get to the moon, right?
Yeah.
Rather than aiming, cutting yourself short and not believing in yourself. Right there, that was the foundation of my entrepreneurial abilities.
Is this like technically like your first business? Is it your first?
This is my second, technically.
Second?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I had a lawn care company in Saskatchewan. So I grew up in Saskatchewan.
Right.
And I started cutting lawns when I was 14 years old. I worked for a golf course for, 3 years, and I gained, lots of knowledge and experience about how to maintain turf.
Yeah.
So
that's a great place to actually really learn about.
Yeah, it was. It was a very key component to kind of jump into the lawn care and landscaping business.
Yeah.
And the one day I was like, well, I think I can do this on my own,
Yeah.
So I remember
For golf or just?
Well,
I think I can do
landscape lawn care. I'm like, I want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I had a few friends, I had a few friends that were interested in getting their lawns cut, and I was like, hey, I think I started out with like 4 or 5 accounts maybe.
Yeah.
And from there, I did that from about 14 to 17, and
are we talking like, I got a lawnmower and a weed whacker?
Yeah, that's exactly like the setup was. The setup is. I'm very proud of this. The setup was it was a Kubota diesel, like a 0 turn, and I had a trailer, and I put my mower in the back of the trailer with with a trimmer rack on the side, and like, so because I didn't have my license, I couldn't get around town. And now, and the community I grew up in, Wynyard, Saskatchewan, is like maybe 14 blocks long, so I could drive to all my properties. So I would just boot around on the tractor and go to all my properties.
That's hilarious.
So I had by grade 11, I think I had about 30 accounts that I was doing across the city, and like I had town. Yeah. And now
14 blocks.
Yeah. And then, from there, I started to look at some more commercial stuff. I bid the local school contract, and I got that, and it was like 14 acres of school ground that I looked after on top of that. So, I kind of put the golf course job aside, and I said, hey, I'm going to go on my own now. And from there, I kind of built it from there. So I did that.
So did your parents own the Kubota? Where did the Kubota come
so my parents were a very very big help in establishing myself. My dad spent numerous hours with me, and I mean when I say numerous, I mean like he bent over backwards to get me started. Like if it wasn't for him, honestly, like I wouldn't be here doing what I do, honestly. So,
dude, that's pretty special.
He'd spend his weekends with me. We would spend, our evenings building the setup, and like, he custom fabricated like an aerator to put on the front too. So I kind of got into not only like, cause I started with just mowing lawns, but I wanted to kind of get into like lawn renovation, and upkeep. So, I kind of branched into that into my grade 12 year. He gave me a hand with that as well. And, he'd be out there, cutting with me, running the line trimmer, like, so, and I mean, he was my number one supporter, and,
awesome.
I really appreciated that.
Oh,
so.
that makes a serious difference.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Having that family support and obviously it was like a bonding thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. My best friend is my dad.
Oh, that's
honestly
awesome.
Yeah, it's I'm very grateful to have such a supportive family in that aspect. So yeah, we worked together building this company, and I'd go to the bank of dad. I'd say, hey dad, I need a loan.
Bank of dad.
I said I'd say, hey, I need a loan, like, and he'd say, okay, you know what, that's fine. And he said, go and work and get your contracts, and then we can talk about repayment. and truthfully, he's helped me all the way up until this point as well too. Even getting my feet on the ground with getting a line of credit through the bank here at ATB in town. So that kind of transition really helped with that. So I came to Lethbridge because I'm a classical guitarist. Okay. So I played guitar now for 15 years. So my work ethic came from my music. That is where I learned to work. I had an amazing teacher. Her name was Luz Marina, and she took me in as part of her family. And I spent, I don't know, I bet you I was there 4 or 5 hours a week. And we would, everything from we would do improvisation to just our classical guitar lesson, and we'd eat supper together. Like it was, she is another mom to me, and that's awesome. So I was very, very grateful to have somebody to mentor under that, and I actually had 3 very influential people that taught me how to work in the music. In my music life. So Luz was one of them. I had a vocal teacher named Marilyn Lazurko, and she owned an orchard. And she taught music in the wintertime, and then grew berries and potatoes, and so she from a young age she had battled with cancer, and she taught me from a young age too that when we can do hard things in life. It got to the point where actually they removed part of her tongue, part of her jaw, and yet she still showed up and taught us lessons, And by the end too, I mean, they removed her vocal box completely, and she still taught my sister and I up until a year before she passed away. Wow. So I had these, and so that's the second person that really taught me that if you can put your mind to it, you can do anything. We're all dealt a hand in life, but it's how we play it, right? Is the big part about that. I
love that.
Yeah. So those 2 influential people right from the get-go, they really set myself up with not only they gained back my confidence within my music, taught me my work ethic, and then coming to Lethbridge and studying with Ileana Matos. She's a world-renowned classical guitarist from Cuba. And I did my bachelor's degree with her, started my master's in the fall here, and same thing, just showed me how to work through the problems that come up in our lives, and day-to-day practicing, whatnot. So these 3 influential women in my life really they shaped my work ethic 100%. Wow. So that's just kind of the aside from my business.
Like a lot of positive influence.
100%. Yeah. So I was very, very grateful for that. So I had my eyes set on being a classical guitarist. And from a young age I was like, okay, being a musician and trying to make a living at it, it's tricky, just on its own. And I thought, well, if I can do something else on the side, just for now to help pay the bills or go to university, that would be great. So I went for my first year through university. I came back, I ran my company, and then I think it was in December of my second year at university, I came across Legacy as a small turnkey. Came with, maybe 20 accounts for mowing, came with a bunch of equipment in the trailer. It was fairly cheap. And I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I need to do this. And I said, my gut feeling is I have to do this. This is a no-brainer. And I said, if I want to, enjoy my music and at the same time make an income that can support myself and grow this, I said I can, live out my dream of, being an entrepreneur and being a musician and living fairly comfortably as well. So, we talked about it, and he said, go ahead with it. And he helped, get me a loan to set that up.
And was that through the bank then at this
point?
That's still Bank of Dad?
Still Bank of Dad. Okay, it actually wasn't until this year that I finally got set up with the bank. My dad is, he's helped float me along that journey, because as you know, it takes time to get a line of credit established, and they need to see history, and so I was very, very, very thankful for that. And from there, I was just a one-man show. I had sold off my accounts in Wynyard. It wasn't worth a whole lot, just because it's a small town. my dad actually still cut some of my contracts as well too. You know, like he would take his evenings and his weekends to help me. You know, any type of income that I could generate, he would help me. You know, so I was very, very lucky to have that. You know,
no doubt.
It just helped get my feet on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I honestly, he took off so much time to come and give me a hand getting this thing going as well too, because you know, this is my second year in the city. Like I grew up in a town with 1,400 people.
Yeah.
And now I was like, okay, now I'm going to run a business, and I'm like, well, how do I coordinate all this? And so he would come down, and he'd take off, you know, a week or two, and we'd go, and then he'd go back, and then he'd come back again next week, and you know, so he was my, you know, my investor, my main partner.
Yeah.
Your
mentor.
My mentor, you know, like he really, and he along with my teachers, he taught me how to work as well too, you know, and then. More or less from there, I slowly grew my company. So I went to university.
You say slowly, but we're talking a 2-year span.
2-year span.
You literally were like, let's go.
So there's been an exponential amount of growth in the last year.
Yeah.
Just really focusing on my company. I took a step back from university after I finished my bachelor's degree. Yeah. I just needed a break from school, and I thought, you know, I needed to, you know, explore this whole entrepreneur thing a bit more seriously and dedicate full time to it. And I mean,
so sorry to interrupt, but like, just so people have context, like, how old are you?
I'm 22.
22.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 22, and I bought this company when I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
And you know, I went to university and built it as well. So I mean,
you're going to school.
School and working on this company. So. And for people that might say, you know, you went into a music degree. Yeah. Not a whole lot of people understand that, like, I was practicing like 3 to 4 hours a day.
Right.
On top of, you know, all my class load, like I was a full course load.
Right.
I had partial scholarship coming to school, so I had to keep my grades up. I mean, I finished off my degree with a 3.86 GPA.
Wow.
And was able to build a company to, you know, I was self-sustainable by, you know, within 2 years of my company. Yeah. So I was, you know, I would, and even in the springtime, like, you know, I'd be hitting the books for studying, and as soon as I was done the exam, I'd be straight out back to work.
That's
you know,
awesome.
And, you know, like I'd just try and cram. Like, you know, it was a grind, you know, and but I had this fire underneath me, and I was like, I just want to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think that's what makes an entrepreneur, though.
Yeah, 100%.
Or business owner, or however you want to label it.
It's a make or break, you know.
Like you jump in and you dedicate and you give it all you got, and you just figure it out.
100%. And I mean, truthfully, it's the time. The only way that you get ahead in business is just putting in the time.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You know, some people might figure it out quicker.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're not putting the time in, it's not going to grow.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it got to a point too within my studies where, you know, this company was growing, you know, and it was like I had to really juggle around, like, you know, practicing university, keeping this company going, and then, you know, my spring season was the busiest, and I was writing finals, and, you know, like it was just hectic, you know. Yeah. But I was able to kind of, you know, pull my way through that, and awesome. You know, I actually had done this is the crazy part about, you know, my business is I had done all the work, you know, with my dad alongside me, and I didn't hire anybody until like halfway through the second summer. Like I slowly learned to delegate and to trust others to come on, because I mean, this thing was my baby, and I was like, sure. When I did lawn care, I was like, my lawns looked sharp, and I mean, I recognized too in the city that there was a gap between you know, affordable and quality lawn care within the city. Yeah. You know, and Lawn and Snow Bros had just went out of business. Yeah. Just after a year and a half of me into my company, I bought a bunch of their equipment, and I knew right away, I'm like, well, there's a gap here to fill. Yeah. You know, and you know, I just kind of took off with it and just went along with it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I freaking love it.
Yeah.
That, you know, that should be, well, again, your age, doing double workloads of school. And
like, I mean, it was 80 to 100 hours a week, easy, like all the time. I mean, and still is, you know, but that's part of the job, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Like you basically had time for nothing else.
Yeah, and that was the really hard part, was finding that balance in there too. And I mean, it's something I still struggle with, is trying to set aside that time.
So that's an interesting question. Like, for as young as you are, and all of this workload, especially, I mean, I know you're done school now, but like, with school and trying to run a business, where did your friendships come into play, or did you lose friends? Did you, relationships even just in general?
Yeah, it was very tricky to navigate that. Where do I start? I mean, I can go all the way back to high school. I mean, I had kids in my class that, I had this work ethic, and they pointed it out to me, and they'd make fun of it. So they'd call me like lawn boy. I didn't have a ton of friends growing up. So
you were getting bugged because of
it.
I mean, maybe not bullied, but bugged. But,
yeah, exactly. So it was, I really thought, I'm just gonna kind of work at this, and I spent lots of time by myself, just out working, and that was my happy place, because I got away from the kids at school that didn't necessarily just
didn't align with.
Didn't align with. So that was and I spent time with my dad as well. In terms of like university, I mean, I can tell you, I didn't live the university lifestyle. I didn't. Like, I wasn't out partying. I wasn't out, like my weekends were spent working. It was just as simple as that, because I'm like, I want to grow this thing. I want to grow it. And, I sat down, I'm like, where are my priorities at? Where do I want to get to? And so, I didn't, I have a few friends that I've gained from university, but I wasn't, I missed quite a few parties or whatever, but I wouldn't take it back either, because, I see where I'm at now, and, I look at what I've done up to finishing my degree, and I look at my other peers as well, and I mean, I worry sometimes, how they'll make a living as well, in what they do, and that was always in the back of my head. I'm like, how am I going to support myself? Because in today's society, the arts just simply, the funding isn't there, right? The interest isn't there. So it was something that I really, I grappled with it a lot. It took a toll on my first relationship with my girlfriend. Like there were lots of hours that I spent away from her, just being on the grind. I'm very, very.
That's tough.
Yeah, it was
because
tough.
at a very young age, like it's hard to, like, I imagine in a relationship, it's hard to like have that balance with your partner, and for her to understand, like, I want to spend time with you, but like, I have to do this.
Well, and that's just it. Like, and I would tell her, like, it's not that I don't want to spend time with you. It's not that believe me, I want to spend time with you. It's the fact that if I don't tend to the needs of this, it'll just crumble. Right. So that was very tricky in my first relationship, to kind of navigate my way around having that balance. My current relationship with Kiana, we've been dating for 2.5 years, and I can tell you this, being a business owner and having your partner on the same page, huge. That is your make or break. Honestly,
100%.
Honestly,
100%.
And I'm so grateful for her, patience with me. I've missed quite a few events too because of it, but at the same time, she recognizes the value in putting the time in now to enjoy,
and that's
enjoy
special
later.
Because like I agree with you 100%. If you don't have a partner that not as just supportive of what you do, but actually understands, like, this person is not necessarily going to be able to make it to every event that I'd like to attend.
Exactly.
Or function or family or whatever.
Exactly. And at the same time, rolling in at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they're already in bed. Yeah. So it's like, it has its trade-offs, right? But,
but clearly she sees, that's what I'm saying, like, she's understanding of, she's making an investment.
Absolutely.
She's understanding of the long-term gain of this. Like, you're putting in all of this hard work and effort to build your business. And again, there's no guarantees in life, but like, to be able to get it to a place where you can slowly but surely start to build more back of the family side.
Absolutely.
And have people doing more of the work side.
And that's and that is totally it, you know. It's been, I'm just so grateful that Kiana was
awesome,
so understanding of that. And
well, hats off to her.
Yeah, well, 100%. She is my number one supporter when it comes to, you know, to this company. And I wouldn't and even her, I wouldn't be where I am without her, honestly. So, you know, I'm very, very grateful for that.
I love hearing that, man.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, again, I sorry I'm picking on your age a bit.
No,
like,
it's all good.
But what even got you interested, like going back even to town?
Yeah.
Like, what was the interest in the first place?
Well, it's a good question.
Or do you remember? I guess, was it just because of the golf? Was it because you're
like, I really enjoyed being outside. You know, it was weird. I knew that I had this spark in me to, you know, if I put my mind to it, I could do it. And, you know, even with my music, I think that was the setting point. Like, you know, my teacher would sit down and be like, okay, if, you know, here's the piece, let's do it. And I'd say, there's no way we can do it. You know, I didn't, here's the thing. I didn't read music, like sheet music, until I came to university.
Oh.
I picked everything up by ear. So, you know, like, I found a way. My teacher and I both found a way for me to learn.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have patience. I didn't have, you know, and it's funny that I'm now learning how to be patient, you know, but it was really that mindset that when I sat down with my teacher, and I'm like, there's no way, like when I was 15, 16 years old, I was, you know, playing, you know, grade 9 level repertoire. You know, I mean, when I was 18, I competed in nationals for 28 and under, and I placed 3rd in Canada. You know, like, my teacher always said to me, she's like, you know, don't ever cut yourself short.
Right.
And I think that right there was a big learning lesson for me, because I was like, you know, if you shoot for the stars, at least you might get to the moon, right? Yeah. Rather than, you know, aiming, you know, cutting yourself short and not believing in yourself. And it was truly that belief in myself that helped me, you know, gain the confidence as a business owner. And, you know, I mean, I packed up I lived in a small town for you know, my entire life, and moved a whole province over to just, you know, to pursue my music and to pursue a new lifestyle. And I mean, it was daunting, but I always knew, it's like, you know, what's the point if, you know, why settle for less, you know? And that was kind of where I was at, you know, like I could go into the safe field of, I don't know, or not safe field. Nothing's a guarantee, right? Yeah. But, you know, I could have picked a trade and, you know, got a ticket and, you know, and maybe ran my own business that way. But I also looked at it too as like, I have this gift of music. I want to explore it, because I know, looking back on life, if I didn't do it, then it would always be in the back of my head, like the what if, like what could have come of that, you know? So yeah, I mean, and I don't mean to spin back on the music, but I mean, right there, that was the foundation of my entrepreneurial abilities.
No, and you know what? Now that you explain it that way, like, that makes sense to me. Yeah. Like it just the pursuit of that unknown. Yeah. But something you were highly passionate about. Yeah. Because maybe it comes across on camera, maybe it doesn't. Mm-hmm. You know, I obviously have the pleasure of knowing you outside of just the podcast. And I would say, like, a big part of what I admire about you is just your energy.
Oh, thank you.
But also a lost art. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like there's a component that gets missed. We live in a bit of a digital society, right? And I feel like a lot of times people lean too much into that. Yeah. And I would really like for you to, like, expand on the fact that, like, you're actually out there knocking doors.
Well, and you're not wrong about that. You know, it was daunting, honestly. Yeah. I learned quickly how to put myself out there, and that was throughout high school, I kind of struggled with confidence. I had trouble, putting myself out there, and it, being, starting my business, going through university, all the performing, all the social outings, that was a big part of.
Because through music, you would have been performing like
100%.
on stage and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, for venues around town, or like gigs and whatnot, competitions. I learned from a young age how to be very sociable, because that's part of being a musician, is that connection, and being a business owner too. So I knew I kind of had a leg up when it came to putting myself out there, and I could kind of pitch myself, and what I really focused on was the personal side of my business as I kind of grew. Like I'd tell people what I was up to and say, hey, you know what? By the way, you're getting a lawn care service here, but and I want it to be top notch. Yeah. But at the same time, I want you to know that you're supporting a university student as well. Like, this is something that I'm working towards, and I want to thank you for being a supporter. And here's the thing too, like, I've gone back to my clients, for now 3 years, and I went back to all of them at the start of this year and said, just to let you know, this is where I'm at. Like, I've gone from my second year, I did it all by myself, either with my dad's help on the weekends occasionally, and then I had maybe a couple employees kind of here and there. I really struggled in my second year to find good workers, and my third year, like, I mean, I've gone from 1 to 6.
That's awesome.
In 4 months.
That's awesome.
4 months. So it's been this massive growth, which is great, but it's like, and I always worried about, like, is there going to be work? Is there going to be work? Yeah.
We always
do, right?
You'll never not worry about
100%. But I didn't want to let my team down. And, and that was a big part of when I jumped into, really thinking about the impact of legacy lawn care. I know I think on my truck, I put the grass is greener with us, but I've been thinking about it quite a bit lately. I'm going to rebrand that to, leaving a legacy in our community, because the way that I want to run this company is the fact that I want to make an impact in people's lives, whether it's, giving them a quality, affordable service, and I want to build a team that cares too. So, I pay all my guys, I pay all my guys above average wages compared to other lawn care companies in town. They're all young guys like me, or girls, university students, and they're just trying to make a go of life.
Yes.
And I've told them, like, I'm here for you guys, and I want you to know that, like, we're a team, we're a family. I'm here to build this in the sense of, the camaraderie in it, and so that was an important aspect of, really, when I went from 1 to 6, I thought rather than just hiring university students for $15 an hour, and and just working them like rented mules. I was like, that's not how I want my company to be.
Good for you, man.
So I was like, I want to support, and I appreciate people that work hard, because I myself know what that's like, right? Yeah. And I give my guys bonuses. Like, when things stand out to me that they go above and beyond, I make sure that they're rewarded, because they should be.
Sure.
And I think there's a lack of that, especially in maybe in at least from what I've seen within the city and other communities, is that it's not the team aspect of it isn't there, and that's where I want to make a difference in Lethbridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I can respect that.
Yeah. So that's something I'm slowly working towards, and and getting a team on board that if they have the why and the care, they'll figure out the how, right?
Oh,
and
100%.
And I'm sure you understand that running a business as well, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
What really stands out about what you said is actually something I wish more people did. Mm-hmm. I think it's something, like, if any young person goes back, like, this part, I think is actually really important. Mm-hmm. Also because of just the digitization of the world.
Yep.
I love that you said that, like, you told people, hey, I'm in university, like, I'm trying to support myself through this.
Yep.
I love the honesty behind that.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with, like, your work capabilities. Mm-hmm. What I'm getting at is, I feel like too many young people want to emulate being an expert.
Yeah.
And I use the word expert because it seems like they want to come across that way. When, one, like, do you ever really become an expert? But more importantly, right, it's like you're already leaning into being someone that you're clearly not.
Yeah.
And by labeling yourself that way, if you get work, which you probably will, if you, if you put in some effort, you probably will. But now you've set an expectation bar.
Correct.
And again, that doesn't mean that you went and did bad lawns.
No.
But I just mean like, you've now set this bar where it's like, well, I don't care what the price is. Like, you told me you're the best.
Yeah. And you have to deliver on that.
You better deliver on the best. Yeah. And when you don't,
you better make up for it.
Well, this is what I noticed. When you don't, then it actually creates a stain on the industry.
100%.
Because you told them you were an expert, where if you actually, and it's not meant to like say like you're putting the bar low. I'm just saying by having the honesty and saying, look, I'm a young kid with not a ton of experience, but I'm going to work my butt off and I will do the best possible job I can. In a way, you're setting up the expectation to almost be like, okay, well, he's giving me a decent price and we'll see how it goes.
Exactly.
And then when you actually do a good job, they're like, holy cow, like, this kid's awesome, or this girl's the real deal, or whatever. And so I wish more students, younger people would grasp a little bit more of the concept of the honesty of saying, this is where I'm at, and I'm hoping you'll give me a chance, as opposed to trying to go in and say,
I know everything.
I'm an expert, and my business is amazing, and and it's like,
no.
Dude, they can see right through
you. Sure you can, 100%.
And even if they do happen to buy into that, you're going to fail.
Well, get ready, because,
because something will happen. No matter what. Like, you can't be perfect. You're not going to bat 100, right?
100%. And that's the thing is, like, I think that, honesty and transparency, it's been a model in my own values and and throughout my company as well. Like, I've told my guys, like, be honest with me, and I tell my customers as well, like, I'm fully transparent, and when something happens, hey, I'm there to make it up. And I mean, you can take a look online at my reviews. Like, I stand behind my work 110%.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you're not satisfied, I'm not satisfied.
Yep.
Right? So and having that upfront transparency, like, it just really, I think, secures your customer relationship too, because you're actually putting yourself in a vulnerable position if you think about it, which obviously people don't like to do, right?
Yeah.
But from that, you're also showing them, like, hey, you know what? I'm going out on a limb here, and but I'm just letting you know, like, full heads up, and that has, I think it's really helped grow my company and my reputation in the city. Like, I've
people are. I think at the end of the day, it just creates a level of I don't know if sympathy is the right word, but like, just sympathetic to being like, hey, like, this kid's being honest. And let's give him a shot.
Exactly.
And that's really what it is. Then you get to prove yourself, and if you do a good job, it's like, well, this kid's awesome.
And that is, and like you said too, like, the problem I find, I don't know a whole lot of young entrepreneurs my age. Like, actually, there's another person in BNI that would be 24. I think that's kind of the closest age gap, and I haven't had a time to sit down with him. But from what I've seen, maybe like from the influencers online, you have to come across as a certain image and manner, and like all these things that really, if you don't stick to your own characteristics and values, and you try and be somebody else, you're setting yourself up.
Well, I always just say people will see right through.
100%.
Like to me, I always say, like, when you're dealing in, like, especially on, like, for your side, the commercial side, I would say, maybe less on the residential, but that comes with its own hiccups too. But commercial, for sure, you're typically dealing with atypical personalities. I always say, I relate it to, like, Shark Tank, but I'm like, these people, male or female, they are like sharks.
For sure.
And they will smell the blood in the water.
100%.
So if you, and this is different, this is what I mean. if they can smell bullshit, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna eat you alive.
Oh, sure they will, 100%.
But that doesn't mean they don't respect honesty and transparency. Yep. It doesn't mean that you have to go and pretending you're someone that you're not. Yep. Because those same sharks will also eventually smell the blood in the water when you do fail.
100%.
Or whatever. Yeah. When not, maybe fail is the wrong word. But when something arises that there's some level of disagreement on or something. But the opposite is also true. It's like, because they also started somewhere at one point. Yeah. They remember.
They get it. Yeah.
They know what that was like. Absolutely. So they actually far more respect the honesty of like, look, I'm just looking for a shot.
Exactly.
As opposed to, hey, blah, 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 blah.
Well, and I'll tell you this too, like, I went from completely residential in my second year to, like, this is my first year commercially. And I was out, knocking on doors, handing out flyers, and I told people, like, give me a shot, try me out. You know what? Try me out. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you a break, but try me out. And if you're happy with my service, I'd like to be your guy. Because I think it's so important. Like, I mean, to not walk in there and say, well, I'm gonna charge you this, and and they can sense it too, right? So and that's part of, establishing that rapport as well too within that with you and those, and especially commercial customers, because they're all business owners, right? So they get it, So yeah, it's been something that it's been a new challenge that I've faced this year, and and navigating around that too it's been very successful just from having that mindset of full transparency.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the way I try and live my life and my company is, at the end of the day, what do you have if you don't have your integrity?
Oh,
right.
100%. But it is, like I say, I see it as a bit of a lost art. And maybe even art is or just like a lost characteristic.
Yeah, sure it is.
Because again, whether it's through social media or other things, I read a lot on it, but it's like people see those picture perfect moments, and that's what people post, right? So there's this like assimilation that it's like, well, look at how easy it is, or maybe easy isn't even the right word, but just like look at what those people are doing, and finally when those same people do get to a level of, I'll call it like authority, like for respect of what they've accomplished, I find that a lot of times they've forgotten. And now they're just kind of spewing off the stuff that, well, like, that's the stuff you could get to say now. Yeah,
that's right.
Because you did get there, but you're not telling like the whole picture of like what that actually looked like. And the fact that maybe you were eating freaking ramen noodles for months on end to just like feed the money back into your business or figure out how you were going to grow it or whatever.
I'll tell you, like, I mean, since I was 14, every dollar, every penny I was able to put back into my company, I did. Like, that was my number one goal, is just to get this thing to the wheels to turn, And I mean, at the end of the day too, I mean, you got to earn your stripes as well too.
Oh,
100%. And that is, I think that's the problem. I think with the younger generation is they think they can just shoot the top, and that's just how they could do it. It's like, well, no, actually, you got to go through the process of it.
But again, I think it's because of that. What social media appears to showcase as instant gratification. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Again, whether people like the guy or not, like, I was actually just listening to last night. Yeah. But like, Joe Rogan is a perfect example.
100%.
Now that doesn't mean he wasn't a TV star, and I'm not saying that he didn't have some great things that he accomplished outside of podcasting. Yeah. But if you actually look at him or any major influential entrepreneur like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whoever, right? Like, they went through some real shit.
Oh, 100%.
And it wasn't just like, oh, look, overnight success. Like, no, that guy was doing hundreds and hundreds of podcasts. Like, I don't think, and that's the number I'm trying to remember from what I watched last night, but I think they were talking about the fact that, like, he was doing podcasts before almost everybody was doing podcasts. Yeah. And he didn't hit it, like, it didn't hit until I think he had been doing podcasting for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, exploded.
And so I had a partner and friend that I got to work with, and he would always say like, "Oh yeah, like 20-year overnight success." But it's true. It's like the reality is most entrepreneurs, in a sense, are nobodies.
That's right. Yep.
And I mean by nobodies, I mean like they're in the background. Like you're not even you don't even know they exist essentially until they've hit it. And now once you've hit it, it's like, well, where did that guy come from?
Yeah.
And they're not remembering or they're forgetting the fact that, well, yeah, like I've been doing this now for 5-6 years, and I finally got it to a place where I am able to now have 6 employees or whatever number,
exactly,
whatever success looks like for people, right? But like, that's the reality.
Yeah, well, I think a big thing that I learned as well over the past few years of being an entrepreneur is the fact that I every day I wake up, I'm like, Rome wasn't built in a day.
No,
Rome was not built in a day, and you know what? Like, you can't get down on yourself for the times that are tricky, because those are probably the biggest growing moments for your business, and I think growing moments for your personality and yourself too. So I mean, it is through those hardships that like it really is. It's essential, actually.
Yes.
It's very essential.
Yes.
I
always like to tell people too, like the beautiful thing about business is that you can test things and you will get instant feedback.
Yep.
Like instant.
Yeah.
Like
people will tell you. Yep.
Even if they're not being, I'll say like, let's just say that they want to say something that is more aggressive and they still come across nice. But my point is like, what I love about business is money talks.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Sure, there can be some feelings involved, and I'm not saying that there's some loyalty and that kind of stuff. There are layers. Yeah. But overall,
money talks.
Money talks. Oh, yeah. And what I love about business in the black and white sense of it is like, if you are delivering a decent product or service, whatever that looks like, at the right price, the market will tell you.
Sure, it will. 100%.
Like, it will reward you for it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's beautiful because it's like, just don't be afraid to test stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially when you're young and you're like, you're just kind of evolving in the business side. It's like, throw this idea out and see if you get smacked in the face or whether you get praise for it. And then you can start to figure out, okay, well, I'm not getting any pushback on this price. Oh, well, maybe I'll increase it by $20. Maybe I'll increase whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
Now what's the feedback? Okay, still okay. I'm getting a tiny bit more pushback, but it's not affecting sales. Great. So like you're finding like a sweet spot to boot. And so just the testing of it all, like it doesn't have to be perfect.
No. Yeah.
And it never will be.
And that's 100%. Yeah. And I'll just touch on this as well, but I grew up, being a musician, we always strive for perfection, like that, right? But at the end of the day, you'll never get there. Like there's always one more level, And I think over the years of maturing in my business and myself, I've learned that you can't grab so tightly towards that, and that was a big learning lesson for me getting into business. Is like, it's not going to be perfect, and it's constant tweaking and and analyzing, and that's the nature of it.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if this will make sense. I'm trying to make it relatable even to your music, but like, there's some amazing guitarists in the world, and I'm not like using just one as comparison, but I'm just trying to use somebody that people would recognize. Yeah. Is just the fact that like, you might be you might be the best in your, I'll say, genre.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you'll be able to riff like Jimi Hendrix.
That's right.
And that doesn't make you worse.
No.
Right? No. It's just, that's a different style. It's a different way of going about it.
Yep.
So that kind of is where I lean on like that expert side. It's like, you can't necessarily be an expert because that assimilates that you know everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you can't know everything. Yeah. Like, you can be really good here. Yeah. In fact, you could be the best in the business for here. Yeah. But it still means someone else is doing something just as cool and is also the best. They're just in a different part of it, right? They're just doing a little bit something, a little tweak that's different. And
I think a big thing that I learned too is, is if you're not constantly, trying new things, like you're going backwards. It's as simple as that. If I'm not, if whether it's, and I mean, it is those small inches that really add up over time. Like getting your trailers set up. Getting proper marketing companies to hiring them out to take care of your online presence. Things like that. And if you're if you're not looking into those avenues, because some people are shied away. They're like, well, I won't want to spend money on that. Well, why wouldn't I do that? It's like, well, why wouldn't you try it out and see what happens? Right?
Yes. But this is where I go back to the honesty thing. Right? It's like, look for the honest. Right? You don't have to look for the best. You have to look for the guy that's going to be like, this is my skill set. And if they start over promising, you'll know pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Someone starts over promising and doesn't at least say, hey, this is what I think I can do, and they're immediately like, I know we can do this, and this is what will happen. And it's like, whoa, I think you're bullshitting me here.
You cut your own leg off pretty quick.
Because you've set yourself up even for failure at that point, right?
And it's really, it boils right down to that integrity, right? And you know what? And establishing it right from the get-go I think that is the real trick with that. Because I mean, once you start in that realm, I mean, forget it. You will throw everything away. So, and I mean, it's hard to build back a reputation after you've trashed it.
What I'm just saying that, like, again, using your music, that'd be like you picking up the guitar a couple of times, and you're able to play like some basic level of music, and I mean basic, and then just going out and being like, well, I'm the next rock star. And it's like, well, okay. You can play a little tune, sure, but you're no expert. You're not that good.
But there's lots that you get, and I mean, I guess I noticed that a lot in university too. Like, it is that, how do I say it? It's that humbleness too. Like you have to be confident.
Yes.
But you can't be arrogant. You can't. And that's really where, like, you've got to find the balance of that, right? And somebody that does anything great in their life, I think they really lock in and they're like, this is where I need to be, because they're not selfish. They're not, they're not so focused on themselves, maybe portraying themselves as something bigger than what they are, right? And when you find that balance of, of that humbleness, I think is really a good way to put it,
I even like to use them like, and I know it's kind of a catch-22 at the same time, but I like to use money as an example. Because I've always felt like, and I'm not saying that there hasn't been good people that have hit a home run, but I feel like the people that are focused on how do I make a dollar are the people that fail. Because they're not focused on how do I do this passion, what am I going to do? What's the long term?
What's the vision of the company?
How do I want to make a change? And because it sounds cliche, right? Like, you hear like, oh, I want to have like a business or a family minded company. And that's obviously cliche because it's like, okay, well, just because you can throw a pizza party doesn't mean you're like a family-oriented business. But like, what can you do to, your values, going back to what you said.
Exactly.
Like really making like your values and culture and the things you've picked up even in those first jobs, whether you were delivering newspapers or whether you were freaking working at McDonald's flipping burgers, all of those things had really important lessons for you to be like, what would I do differently if I ran this place? And sure, maybe when you're younger, you might have a little bit more animosity towards certain corporate standards, but you learn pretty quickly. It's like, okay, well, there's structure is necessary, and there's some things that are necessary, even though, I wish they didn't have to be that way. But it's just the nature of the beast. But I love what you're saying, like making it like really about that vision, even talking about you changing like your or upgrading, let's call it.
I'd say upgrading.
Your tagline. Like there's purpose behind that, and even if it means nothing to the customer, it's a reminder of what it means to you.
Yeah.
And the impact that you want to make on people,
Yeah.
on your employees, and then what your expectations are for those employees to represent not just your business, but this is the part that I think, and as a younger person, I'm really curious what you think about this, because I feel like this is like the missing component right now, is what that vision of working with someone, right? Like you're talking about leaving a legacy, instilling that mindset
in your employees,
into the people that are surrounded.
Yep.
It isn't just because you're just like, great, like this is a great way for me to like line my pockets.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like I want to instill this type of culture into you as a person.
Oh, 100%.
And like really make you like feel and live that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying it.
No,
right, like,
I totally agree with you. And I mean, to show your customers, your employees that they are valued, I think that is the biggest thing that I think is missed upon, at least in today's society with running a business. Yeah. Because everybody just wants to get rich and carry on. And I mean, we all need to make a living at the end of the day.
That's why I say it's a catch-22.
Like,
I get that we have to make money.
100%. But I don't know. And going back to Legacy Lawn Care, and I find it so interesting that, when I stumbled across the name, Legacy Lawn Care, I mean, when it comes down to my core values, like I do want to leave a legacy in the people that I am around. Yeah. Like that is my number one goal. Like, and I've told my workers too, like, whatever, we go out and work a hard day and I'll buy them lunch, supper, whatever. And they say, why do you do that? I'm like, because I appreciate you. Yeah. And I just want you to know that, like, I couldn't do this without you. Yeah. And, I also understand that you guys are just trying to make a go as well. And if you're working hard and, like, hey, I'm here to help wherever I can too. I love it. So, and I mean, and I hope they go on to do great things as well, because here's the thing, not everybody's going to stay and cut lawns forever. No, of course and I've told them that, like, hey, by the way, guys, and I mean, I go to school with, or I'll rephrase that. I hire university students, right? Yeah. And I've said to them, like, if something comes up that is in your field and like it's a passion that it sets your heart on fire, do it. And I'm like, just give me a heads up. And I'm like, that's all I ask. Yeah, and I said, that's all I want to see from you guys. I want you guys to live your best life. That really is, at the end of the day, like, I mean, so if I'd be sad to lose a good worker. Well, but
you and I align that way.
Yeah, but I would, in the back of my head and in my heart, I'd be like, wow, I'm happy to see that person just, going for it. Yeah. And I think, and if I could play any type of role to help them along in that process, I don't know. My job is done.
Yes. I believe in exactly what you're saying. I have the exact same mentality. Yeah. I even tell staff, I'm like, look, like, if at the end of the day, this isn't the place. Yeah. Right. And for some, it might be.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if it's not the place, I'll be your first cheerleader.
100%.
I'll literally be the guy that's like, if you actually sat down with me and said, hey, I think I want to pursue a different opportunity. Yeah. I will be the guy that's like, okay.
How do we get there?
How do I help you get there?
Exactly.
Because I want us, like, I also want people to leave on good terms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I want them to tell other people how amazing
it is to
work with you.
Exactly.
Regardless of, what that opportunity looks like. And so I can really respect that you're like that, because I also agree there's not enough of that.
Yeah.
I feel for employees too, because I feel like it's hard to find people that have that kind of value that you're talking about. Yeah. And so I think for a lot of people it's scary, and they don't believe it. Yeah. And they don't think it's true. It's like, nah, he wouldn't support me if I told him that.
But that's the thing too. I don't want to hold anybody back.
Right.
In that.
Hey, I think I want
to. And I've said to them, like, well, I just had a conversation with one of my workers, and she said to me, she's like, I really want to go to firefighting school. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. And I'm like, so how do we get there? Yeah. And we sat and talked for 45 minutes, and she's like, well, I just don't know. And I'm like, well, I said, is there any way I can help you in that? Yeah. Like, is there, can I sit down and help you fill out the applications? Because sometimes I think people cut themselves too short, and they're like, well, I'm just stuck here.
Yeah, I'm just too, there's and it can be something minuscule.
Sure, it can be.
Well, I shouldn't say it like that. It could be minuscule to somebody else. Yeah. But to them,
it can be
like
daunting.
become like a wall.
Yeah.
Like, I can't pass this wall. And it's like, well, all you need to do is this. And it's like, oh crap.
Yeah. and that is totally it. You know, like I don't know. That's my motto as a business owner. Like
I love it.
And it's something I'm just going to keep working towards as I grow my team and my reputation in this city. You know, like I think that is the backbone of you know, my morals.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I love your whole story. I think excuse me. I love your whole story. I think it's amazing what you've accomplished in a short time. I love hearing about your music.
Yeah.
I love hearing, like, again, just your whole journey since the day I met you was highly inspiring. It
thank you.
Like I say, it almost re-energizes an old dog like me to actually be like, oh, yeah, let's get that energy back. But yeah, I'm just super impressed. I honestly wish you absolutely nothing but the utmost success.
Thank you, Levi.
In your personal life, in your work life, for your employees. I have no doubt that you're gonna accomplish them anyway, regardless of a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Because you're just putting in the hard work and you're doing what's necessary to get there.
Yeah.
And I hope the Lethbridge, well, in this case, the Lethbridge community gets behind you.
Yeah.
And just continues to support your business to help it grow. Because like I say, an entrepreneur like yourself that cares about its people and cares about its customers and cares about doing a good job is a hard thing to find. And so I just want to see it just explode into success here.
Yeah.
See where life takes you. But I have no doubt that it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Levi. And just one more thing to touch upon that I think, if there's any other young entrepreneurs out there, you know, the best thing you can do is surround yourself with other business people. And I'm just saying this, like, BNI has been a pivotal moment in not only my life but in my business. Like, it has totally changed the way that I think and approach my company. And it's you know, it's inspiring too. You know, like I sit in a room of people, and you know, my dad always told me this. He said, don't ever be the smartest person in the room.
Okay, yeah.
You know, because I am here to learn from people like you and, you know, all these business owners in the city about how do we navigate this life and business and balance it at the same time too, you know. And it's, you know, it can feel like it's you know, you're just trudging through it.
Yes.
But when I show up on a Wednesday morning for breakfast at 7 a.m., we are all trudging through it together.
Yeah.
And that has been, like, it has ignited the fire under my ass. Like the last what has it been, 4 months in BNI now. Like, it has been so inspiring just to see what other people are doing, and, you know, and at the same time relatable too, because it's like, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure this out.
Yeah, because it's not picture.
People, and I'm
learned that through going through some of these networking groups, and like you can pick up, because it's not picture. The good. I'll say the good, the bad, and the ugly, but really it's just the different phases that business people go through, and the journeys that they go through. My business partner said it in a different way, which I always appreciate. But I said I liked, and it's going back to like the networking thing. The reason why I agree with you with like BNI or whatever networking group you can join to surround yourself with good people and people within kind of like, you know, just the entrepreneurial field, is because otherwise you'll believe your own bullshit.
That's true.
And what I love about him saying that is it's easy for any business person to be like, I got an idea. And this is the next big thing. Like, this is gonna be something really special. And again, I appreciate the thought. I mean, I think we all think that.
Yeah, sure we do.
But what's great about going to like those networking groups is you can quickly throw something out. And again, talking about instant feedback, right? It's like you're going to get instant feedback and communication.
Sure you will.
And at least in the networking side, you're actually going to get not just instant feedback monetarily, but instant feedback because people just want you to succeed.
Exactly.
And they care about you, and they're like, hey, like, have you thought about it from this way? And it's like, no, I didn't. Or maybe, yes, you did. But like, it puts things into perspective as opposed to just keeping you in that tunnel vision saying, I've got the next big thing. And then you're like looking back at it 6 months later being like, why am I not getting anywhere with this? So it's a really, I think it's also, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a wicked tool, but also it's a great relationship builder.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, yeah, that's just my little, if I have any advice being 22,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm still learning the ropes, but I know surrounding yourself with others who are doing it, that's how you learn. And
I think that too, and I would add the last thing to it is, just go ahead and test it while you're young.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, call it what you will, there's no such thing as it's too late.
No.
And I definitely agree with that sentiment, but at the same time, I've always thought the longer you wait, the more that life layers on certain responsibilities.
Sure it does.
That make it more challenging.
To start something right? Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, take advantage of being young. Yeah. Have potentially a failure.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it.
Don't be. Yeah.
It's going to be scary for sure, but I just mean it's okay because you'll be able to bounce back and recover.
You'll learn from it.
As opposed to, if you're 60, sure, it's not too late. It's never too late, and I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But maybe if you do fall at 60, like that could be pretty detrimental to your retirement at that point.
Yeah.
Where, as a young person, it's like, okay, well, great, like that didn't work out the way I anticipated.
What's the next step?
I'll take the next one, and I'll take the next step. And you might lose one or two battles, and then you'll hit.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a big
component. I like that.
Surround yourself with good people and just freaking dive in, man.
Yeah, 100%.
What's the worst that can happen?
You got one life.
Right?
And that's it. Yep.
It's the worst that can happen.
100%.
So.
Yeah, I know. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, me too, man.
It's been a great chat.
I love chatting with you, so I look forward to just continuing chatting, obviously, in our BNI group. But you're a good man, and hire this guy.
Thanks, Levi. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.